Alright, here's our next episode of our revival of video game reviews. And this time around it's going to be Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. This game, of course, was originally released on the Super Nintendo back in 1996. And the remake version, of course, released in November of last year. November of 2023. November 17th, 2023, to be exact. And I actually covered the Super Nintendo version of this game in our original series of video game reviews. Now, for the most part, now the objective, of course, is still the same, to collect the seven stars that are scattered throughout the game's world. And of course, you get of course, you start off as Mario, but you get 4 other additional characters to help you out. Mallow, the adorable little marshmallow. Gino, the wooden doll, who of course kind of looks like Pinocchio. Princess Peach. And believe it or not, Bowser is actually one of your party members in this game. Yeah, very rare to see a game where Mario and Bowser actually work together on the same team. And, of course, this version has several differences compared to the original. One is that there is post-game content in this version, which includes boss rematches. Now, the original game had 4 save slots. There's only 3 this time, mainly because of auto-saves. And, of course, you have... Now, of course, there's also a difficulty selector in this game. You can play through the game on the standard difficulty, which was the only difficulty you could do on the Super Nintendo version, or you can play on easy difficulty, which in this game is called breezy mode. You can hold more items, enemies are a bit weaker, and you get more EXP for each battle. Alright, so this is definitely a classic game. If you have not played this game, then obviously there is something wrong with you. Now, the villain of this game, of course, is Smithy. You have to try to defeat him and his gang in order to save the world in this one. And each of the different locations has distinct characters that are held by its inhabitants. Like, for example, the Mushroom Kingdom, you've got Toads. Moleville, you've got moles. And Monster Town, of course, you've got 4 monsters. And Yoster Isle, of course, is Yoshi. And Nimbus Land is inhabited by Cloud People. And there's a few mini-games you can do in this game. Like, for example, the Yoster Isle area, you can do Yoshi Racing, which is definitely pretty cool. But of course, there's a few other mini games that you can do as well. So, yeah, like I said, this is definitely a really fun game to play through. And of course, what would an RPG be without bosses? I don't quite remember the names of all the bosses, but some of those fights are pretty fun. Like, some others can be a bit of a nightmare. Now, there is one fight in this game that I do kind of like in particular, and that's the fight where you're fighting those 5 guys that kind of resemble the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Yeah, I forget what the group of characters is called, but that's definitely an interesting fight. Because that fight takes place after you get the 6th star. Now, the final area of the game, which is the Bowser area where you have to go through to beat Smithy and get the final star, and of course end the game. Yeah, let's just say there's a certain area in there that can be a bit of a pain. And I know for a fact because I had to encounter this in my Let's Play. Now, in terms of the bosses, there are also some optional bosses you can do. One being Kulex. That is a boss that I did not fight, but from what I understand, that guy's got like 13,000 HP or something like that. So he is a tank. He is definitely a tank. That is for sure. But like I said, like I never fought against him. But he is kind of, but the fact that he has all that HP, kind of reminiscent of some of those bosses that you would fight in Final Fantasy. And I say this because, remember, this game was a collab project with both Nintendo and Square Enix. And of course, if you remember, Square Enix is responsible for the Final Fantasy series, which is, of course, so cute. And I do intend to do a review of Final Fantasy 16 in a future episode, but that is, but that's another time. Now, now sales of this game, I would say have been, I'd say they've been pretty decent. I mean, granted, a Mario RPG game probably isn't gonna sell quite as much, excuse me, as, like, say, your typical Mario game, like Mario Wonder, Mario Odyssey, etc. It's still a fun game to play through, and the kind of game where you can do, like, all kinds of challenges, like, for example, challenges where, like, say, where you can't dodge, although a challenge like that would actually make the game, like, a little bit harder to get through. But yeah, still a pretty fun game, as I've said. Probably not in the top tier of Mario games, but like I said, it is still pretty fun. And I think I would probably rate this as an 8.2 out of 10. Like, the fights are really good, like, the bosses are pretty good. Even, like, the music in this game is really good. Now, of course, a lot of the music in this is slightly remixed compared to the Super Nintendo version of the music that's in this, but it's still really fun nonetheless. I mean, who doesn't love good music in a game? Alright, so that is Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars, the Nintendo Switch version. Another game that, of course, I would definitely recommend. And, yeah, so that is going to do it. And I will see you again next week for another fantastic review.